Hi, my name is Abby Almerido. I am in the Master's in Emancipatory School Leadership program, but that was not my first program here at San Jose State. I'm actually a grad of the multiple subject credential program, so I'm a proud San Jose State student. So for all my life, I wanted to go to law school. I remember when I was 12 years old, standing on the playground thinking, I'm going to be on LA Law, like that was going to be my life. And I went through undergrad as a philosophy major and just got so tired of reading and writing papers that I said to myself, I just need a break. And at that moment, I started to work at my old elementary school as an instructional aide to a girl with Down syndrome. And it was with her, I spent 2 years with her that I learned the real magic of watching young people experience life and learn things and see things for the first time over and over and over again. It was so amazing. And exciting. And it made me reflective of my own life and what I wanted to do with a career. And so that was what sparked me to enter a program. And I stay for a lot of different reasons, but mainly because working with young and adult learners is just so dynamic. The climate changes constantly, which is sometimes frustrating, but it's really exciting. And every day I get to flex my creative and problem solving muscles in such different ways that it just excites me every day to work. So that's why I stay in education. I aspire to be a school administrator. I know that's weird. School principals are often the butt of jokes on TV. But just getting into the craft of creating powerful conditions for all students and for all educators to thrive while uplifting the professionalism of educators is an exciting prospect for me. And that's why I'm so thankful to Dr. Rebecca Borsiaga and all who have supported this program's inception within and out of San Jose State, because it has brought together such a beautiful program. This program has really prepared me to be more confident in taking on a leadership role. I think in the past, what's been so daunting is that there's so much of a status quo that's ingrained in being a school leader, and I want to do it differently. And so being in this program, especially during a pandemic, has really taught me to push back against that status quo of following a path, because that's what's been laid out. I think we're learning that we're solving issues that have already been there for so long, and we had to do it differently because of the pandemic. And I think that sentiment has followed through in my learning through this program, because too long there's been students who have been left behind, teachers who are totally disgruntled, and we can do it differently. And this program has really highlighted and put a spotlight on different paths to do it that way. We've only really had 3 professors, and they have been all excellent. So each in their way has transformed me as an educator. But if I were to have to answer, I would really like to highlight Dr. Fabiola Bagula. She's our professor this term in the fall. She has really designed a course that has been so dynamic and interesting. The focal assignment of this course is a live case study in which we're examining a school district who's going through some racial equity issues. And part of that assignment is really providing recommendations for the work of the district. Who knows if they'll take them, but it's just an interesting thought process for, as a student who is hoping to engage in this work at some point in a real life district, to go through, because we're working with within the constraints of existing issues, but we have the freedom of thinking around the solutions, and the only confines of which are the ones that we place on ourselves. And we don't really, as educators, have that opportunity to do that, because the work pace is so go, go, go. We want results immediately. And so to think outside of boxes takes too much time sometimes, and too much maybe resources or effort, or I'm not sure. But so it's really interesting to see a problem that's happening live and then apply all of our learning to it. The title says so much. To emancipate means to free, to liberate. And I mentioned earlier, we're so, sometimes in education and in the whole world, we're so tied to and married to what we've been doing in the past. so often we tell ourselves, oh, well, this is what we've been doing, so this is what we have to do tomorrow. And so this program really aims to help educators, people who work with students, with other educators, to think about, to really question, well, what foundations do we want to hold sacred and what foundations really aren't working anymore? Because for far too long, we've been built on so many tenets that no longer and perhaps never serve students at all. If you study, the history of education, when you think about how much of it was so rooted in industrialization and, creating worker bees, and that's just not the case anymore. We know that. We know that we want our students to have careers and aspirations and lives that go beyond just being a part of, a production line, because those jobs are no longer for many. So it's really exciting that even in the title, it tells so much. But in the 5 short months that we've been together, I've learned so much too. So to be an emancipatory leader means really looking at ways to decolonizing your classrooms and your students or your schools, examining practices that are harmful to specific demographics, and most importantly, doing the inner work of reflecting on, what behaviors and mindsets are harmful to students and which ones are really empowering for students and those you work with. So our other professor, Dr. Cuevas, in the summer, he asks us to do what's called a story of self. It's basically your journey in life, however you want to interpret that. It's an origin story, and it's asking you to confront and investigate really where you come from so that you know where you're going. And I feel like a past version of myself, you asked me maybe 5-10 years ago to do this assignment, I might have really looked at it from a lens of uplifting like my triumphs and my successes. And this time around, it was really different. I was struggling. I didn't want to tell this sugar-coated story of who I was because that just wasn't authentic. It wasn't real to me. And so just even going through the process of this assignment and then presenting it to my cohort, who was extremely supportive of, telling some truths that I hadn't verbalized in the past, was transformative. But truly, every week with this program is transformation, and it on purpose. You mentioned intentionality, like the intent is to transform, because as I said a couple of times, we want to do school leadership differently, and so we have to take a look at what we thought before, take it through its ringers and come out of it with new learning and new mindsets and a new way of doing things. I'm actually really excited of this new project that I'm engaging in, and it's focused on designing for a sense of belonging within a team. So I have a department that I'm starting to work with. Actually, this week is our first meeting with the design team, and all of my learning seems to be colliding into one space at this point. So we're really centering around how do we bring out the story of self of all of the colleagues within this team to help everyone be seen. We're engaging in some constructivist learning and leadership so that the team feels like they're moving together and there's more buy-in. We're building more powerful team dynamics through liberatory design mindsets. So I'm taking all of these lessons that were at some point felt a little piecemeal and out of context through the 5 months that I've been in this program, and it's exciting to see them kind of meld into one project. And I imagine that that's how it's going to be moving forward, that every project I'm looking at work through these different lenses and really, trying to make some impact in exciting ways. So it's exciting to learn and then also do it in practice. Something that my cohort members have expressed too, that they're immediately using the things that we're learning in the program to change the way that they're running staff meetings or change the assignments that they're using for their students. So this program is really it's a great, it's great for so many different ways, but it's great because you're learning and you're applying at the same time. I really hope that more educators consider this program. As we mentioned in the past, very transformative. And if I had any piece of advice for anyone considering or entering this program or any other program, it's just to be bold, to enter into it with authenticity, so that, like you don't have so many opportunities in your career to be vulnerable. And that's part of the structure. But as you're learning to be a leader, and hopefully through this program, there's so many opportunities to just take a risk, to say, I'm going to express a thought and it might not be favorable. Just do it. The learning that I've done by just making mistakes in what I've thought and said, and then coming back to my own reflections and seeing, well, what behaviors or what mindsets aren't working for me anymore, or don't work for what's happening and what I need in my career, it's been invaluable.